You're listening to a Mash Those Buttons podcast. Visit mashthosebuttons.com for a full podcast schedule.
Cargo secured. Extraction complete. Intelligent System Analytic Computer is activated. All ISAC systems are confirmed online. Data scanned. Downloading files.
What's up, guys? You listen to episode 128 of SITREP Radio, giving you the news and other happenings in the world of The Division. And this week, we're talking all about weapons in The Division 2. But first, my name is Mike, and joining me, as always, are my co-hosts, Robert.
Hello.
And Luke.
Hello.
I hope you guys and our listeners both had an awesome week, and welcome to any new listeners of the show. Let's get straight down to the news.
State of the game.
So this week's State of the Game focused on, I guess, the weapons from the DevBlog that was released the other week. A lot more details were given to us, wasn't it, guys? But before we get into that, Luke, what is happening currently in the world of the Division?
In the first game, the new shield, Rebel, is now live. If you go to Westside Piers and compete in any of the 3 resistance missions and get yourself to wave 15, you're done. Simple as that this month. It's not retroactive, so you do have to do it again. But I think even blind people can get to wave 15. I mean, even Yannick can do it. So,
yeah, you can go to like World Tier 1, can't you? I'm pretty sure you can do it in World Tier 1.
I didn't know that. But if that's the case, then that's even super easier. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it on Reddit. People have been spent all day, like, just going through World Tier 1 doing it.
Oh, wow. I mean...
So that one won't take too long, will it, Rob?
No. Easy.
Luke, sorry. I cut you off.
I can't remember what I was going to say, but, I mean, wave 15 is easy enough anyway. Why would you need to drop down to World Tier 1?
Maybe if you're playing it solo. But then it's kind of scaled for that anyway.
Yeah. Oh no. Part of the fun of Resistance is seeing how far you can go, really. So, seems a bit cheesy.
Is it completing wave 15 or is it getting to wave 15? So I feel that's a bit...
It says get to wave 15. Looks like the commendations say get to wave 20. So...
Yeah, because wave 15's a hunter round, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is part of the fun, right?
Yeah. I think it probably should have been complete wave 15, but hey.
Anyway, down to the meaty goodness of this week's show. 2 weeks ago, we discussed the first Division 2 DevBlog that was released, covering weapons, marksman rifle. No, it wasn't marksman rifles. It was just rifles being introduced, exotics, mods, grenades, and other talents coming in the sequel. If you want to hear more about it, either go check out the DevBlog, go check out the State of the Game from today, or go back to episode 126 and hear our thoughts on the DevBlog. But we did have some awesome info come out from Fredrik Thylander, who was on today's State of the Game, didn't we, guys?
Yeah.
It was a really good episode, actually, this time around.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. It's nice to see that they are finally getting around to talking more and more about the Division 2. We're like 6 months out now, just under. Is it just under?
No, just like it's less than. Yeah,
Or
five
it's
and
about
a bit
6.
months, isn't it? Yeah. Wow, maths. That was difficult.
Well, I don't know. It just feels like it's ages away still, but we've been talking about it since March this year. And like even before that, we've been talking about the sequel. So to finally get down to some meaty goodness with regards to some proper Division 2 news, it's pretty awesome. And obviously one of the big things that we're all going to be talking about over the next year or so is going to be builds and gear and weapons for the Division. So this was a really good, how would you say it? Really good kind of in-depth of some of the things that were in the devblog.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain's all over
with
the place.
Thylander being on the episode, it was straight from the horse's mouth as well, wasn't it? Because, he's been on State of the Game before. He is labelled as the weapons guy, even though he's the lead 3C designer for the first game and the second game. But gun
guy.
The gun guy. I thought he was really good on State of the Game today, and I really enjoyed the whole episode, like I said before.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously we discussed in episode 126 our thoughts on rifles being added to the game. What did you think of the explanation that was given to us by Thylander about the difference between rifles, assault rifles, and marksman rifles?
It was much similar to what we discussed when we were theorizing about why they did it. It was so they can balance those guns a lot better because a lot of them were marksman rifles and some of them were assault rifles, so they kind of had to put them into those categories in the first game, and now they can make them more balanced.
I think one of the main things is just the fact that they've got their own balancing compared to anything else.
Yeah.
That is just going to make them stand out and make other weapons, I would hope, more viable to use with these different segregations of the weapons, from SMGs to assault rifles to rifles and marksman rifles and sidearms. The fact that today he said sidearms, they want sidearms to be not only great but to fire well as well, I guess. Because often, like when you play games with sidearms, they're not great. The only game I can think of that sidearms are actually useful in is Rainbow Six Siege, off the top of my head. And I've been playing like Resident Evil 7, and the pistols and that are crap.
Mm.
Yeah, what they've done is going to make them integral to your build, which is awesome.
Yeah, we'll talk about talents.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was
in a minute.
Jumping the gun a little bit.
Haha, the gun, weapons, nice.
But I don't know. It's gonna be. I'm hoping nice to see us using so many different weapons in combat than what everyone's kind of using now. I'm hoping that there isn't going to be just one go-to weapon, and it looks like that is kind of the direction they're trying to take it. And fun seems to be also the aim they're looking for as well.
Yeah, you definitely, like Thylander said that a couple of times, like the fact that they've made the rifles separated, that they're more fun to play because of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the one thing with this game. You can just jump in the game and go shoot a load of enemies, and it is, they've got like the whole mechanics of the actual weapons firing and just the core systems that we have in the Division 1 already for just going around and shooting NPCs constantly. You get in a bunch of people, get in a team with a bunch of people, and you can just go and do that for a load of hours.
It's one thing I will say is that you can tell Thylander's been playing a lot of Destiny, because there is a rifle type in Destiny that's very similar to what he described on the State of the Game. Scout rifles was basically like rapid fire.
I didn't even click on that, and I should do, because I have played Destiny. So you're saying marksman rifles will be the scout rifles of the Division 2?
Yeah.
Luke, how do you feel about scout rifles being in the Division 2?
Don't get me started.
I wonder if we get Mida.
What that everybody uses for the first couple of weeks.
I don't think we're going to get the Mida multi-tool, dude. But yeah, moving on very quickly to exotic weapons. I think the main thing that I liked from today is the fact that none of the existing exotic weapons will be coming back as exotic weapons in the Division 2.
Yeah,
they might be put back in the game as, the weapon that they actually are in real life, because it's like the Hungry Hog. Isn't that? It's just an AA shotgun.
No,
something like that.
The Hungry Hog is basically the exotic M60.
Yeah,
Oh, is it the M60?
Yeah.
No, not the Hungry Hog. What's the shotgun?
Showstopper.
Showstopper. Isn't the Showstopper like the AA? I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, it's like the AA-12 or something, I think.
Yeah, the AA-12.
I might be wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, and the house is an MPX.
Yeah, so Thylander mentioned the house would be back for Division 2, didn't he? As it's
A proper weapon, yeah.
proper weapon, so that would be the MPX. He also mentioned that the Devil and the Heel would be back.
What
So I
are
guess
those?
they're going to slot straight into the rifle category, I think, aren't they? Because they're
Yeah, but what?
yeah. I don't know. I'm not big on my guns, to be honest. I don't know the names of like the real guns, apart from your obvious ones like MP5, MPX, and all that sort of stuff. So
I think there might be some kind of M4 variant. Maybe like an M416 or something.
okay,
Maybe.
Well, like the 417 would tend to be a rifle, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, there we go.
I'm pretty sure the 417 is just like a single shot rifle, but it's fast firing.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Oh, it's been a while since we've talked about guns because like me and Rob used to do airsoft, and it would be all we would do at one day is just like go on the internet and look at what guns that we might buy. That sounds really bad. I must admit, before I started recording tonight, I was trying to think because like I saw a picture of a freaking awesome shotgun ages ago. I'm pretty sure I sent it to Terry Spear. I was like, dude, this needs to be in the game at some point. And I was trying to find it. I was getting really worried about what I was searching for. Because you shouldn't really be going on Google going,
You weren't doing that at work, were you?
No. Don't do that at work. Christ.
you just look for porn at work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
And memes.
Good boy.
But yeah, with regards to gear and weapons, with respect to builds in the Division 2, how do you guys feel about the change of only being able to equip one exotic weapon and one exotic gear piece? Yeah, and now I don't want a fight. Okay.
All I was going to say was I've raised my hand politely. I feel like I should let Rob take this one, as it's from a game that he's somewhat familiar with.
But you cannot
Pretty sure we said
cannot start the sentence with the D word.
Okay, Dick. I'm pretty sure in previous episodes we said this would be a good idea. Or I may have said that. So I'm very happy with this change, and I think it's going to be good. I think a lot of people are going to moan about it because people are used to doing full exotic builds. But it means they can make the exotics truly exotic because you can only have one, which means they're going to be overpowered, which is what they're supposed to be. That's why they're called exotic.
But like one of the things that I felt with the Division 1, and like I know a lot of time goes into making the game, and I know there's a lot of thought behind it, but it does feel, with some respects, some of the exotics that we got were kind of throwaway or way too overpowered, and you're throwing that into the Division 1 with all the loot that they've got, and then you're allowed to stack them all on a build together. And it's just the fact that they've made this change is, it's hopefully going to create that build diversity that you want, because you think, how many builds are you going to be able to create around one piece and, all the slots in your build?
Yeah.
You're just going to open up. And that's, I think we've said about it so many times on the lead up to the Division 2, especially since they've been started to talk about weapons and gear. And I kind of feel like it was answered today, but we've been really worried about the game kind of getting more casual with regards to, the way stats are going, with the way gear's going with mods and things like that. Not mods, weapons and attachments. And it just feels like they are not closing it up for people. They're trying to make it simpler, but as diverse as possible. So you're going to have YouTube full of multiple, this is my killing spree build for the Dark Zone 2.0.
The thing is,
whatever it is,
there is diversity in that because, like, depending on what exotic weapon you pick and what exotic gear you pick, like, not to borrow from Destiny again. There are certain exotics in Destiny that you build around, especially the gear, and it makes you like a lot more useful in a team. Like for instance, the hunter has a pair of boots that when you shoot your tether, if you tag enough enemies with that tether, you get your super back again. And then you can keep shooting your tether over and over again and just creating more and more orbs for the rest of your team. It's like a support class, basically. If they can implement that sort of thing in the Division, it's going to be brilliant.
Well, we could have something like that. You know, we need special ammo or a type of ammo for your specialist weapon. Yeah. So you could have a gear piece that is, I don't know, set to give you additional ammo for that weapon more so than other pieces.
I know, my mind is reeling on what they can do with it. So,
you know, when you're talking about extra ammo for your weapon pieces, would you be talking about bringing scavenging back?
No.
Yes, do it. Yeah. Added percentage for specialist weapon ammo to drop.
No, I feel if you're going to have scavenging, it should just literally be you going around the open world and finding stuff.
I was joking somewhat, mate. Don't worry.
No, I know.
My thing with especially the exotic gear, not so much the weapons, because I just hope they're kind of powerful. But with the exotic gear, depending on what talents they put on the exotic gear, like if you get a special talent, like you did with the Barrett's Bulletproof Vest, for example, they could tie those into each specialization as well. So, you know, you could have a build for each specialization based on the exotic gear that you've looted already. But then you could tie, I don't know if this works in Destiny or not, Rob. I can't remember, to be honest with you. I didn't get down into the builds too much in that. But you could tie some gear back to exotic weapons. Almost like the... doesn't the MDR work with one of the gear pieces in Division 1? I forget. It might be something else, but I mean, basically, you could tie one of the exotic weapons to an exotic gear piece or two, so that you could make a build around those two, and then obviously just fill in the blanks.
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
so that sort of widens diversity even further, doesn't it? So
bring in some kind of bonus talent for rocking a certain gear piece with a weapon. Yeah,
exactly.
I think the other thing as well, you know, it feels like it's slightly borrowed from Destiny as well, but it kind of
okay. We've all said it now.
It shows that they're looking to endgame, not just when they first introduce the weapons, but also to the future. Go on, Luke.
I was just thinking, when the second you said endgame, then they could even tie some exotic gear and weapons back to the raid. So literally, you could want nothing else for your gear than to wear it during the raid, and then that piece. And then you could make exotic gear that's specific for the Dark Zone or specific for whatever other modes they bring in, for argument's sake, let's say survival or whatever.
As long as we've got loadouts and enough stash space, not smash.
Spash space. Spash days?
I'm feeling spash today. But going back towards endgame, like the fact that you're now not only going to be able to collect an exotic, but you're going to be able to take it into endgame and progress that weapon with you throughout the life of your agent as a long-term kind of projection.
When Thylander said that, I was like, oh my God.
But is that, like, a lot of the stuff that he said today, you can tell, I think we're going to get some of the things that we've had happen in the life cycle of the Division 1, where stats have slowly been increased over the life of the game to make it difficult. You know, world tiers, well, I'm not saying world tiers are coming, but you could have that kind of advancement every 6 months or to a year to add longevity to the game. And it was something with regards to talents, which we'll talk about in a minute, and mods, that it just feels like they're looking so much about adding like basically boosting weapons, gear, stats, mods throughout the life of the game, but they want it to kind of scale properly and not just go, either that weapon's dead now or it's OP as fuck.
Mm.
And the fact that was in there today about you're going to have an exotic and it's going to be with you for the life of your agent. So I don't know if we might just have an exotic collection this time. So we won't have it in like a stash space. That would be kind of cool. So you have it on your agent all times. You can kind of pull it out. I don't know how realistic that is. That'd be kind of cool though.
I guess that one depends how many pieces they actually give you, doesn't it? If they're going to like take my idea and tie exotics back to different activities within the game, you could end up with like a plethora of exotics, couldn't you? So that would be a little bit unrealistic.
But how cool would that be if you had, I don't know, you've got this exotic build, or you have this set build to go run this raid or X amount of hard content, but you can't take that into the next one. You have to use something completely different. Plus the fact you've got 8 players in that raid. Chances are you're all going to have to be running different gear as well.
Mm.
So you're not going to be running the set. Oh, dude, that's fucking awesome.
Because see your smile getting wider as you're talking then.
I don't know if we talked about it. The P90?
Yeah, that was confirmed.
Confirmed.
You were pretty fucking hyped about that in chat earlier.
Yeah, I was.
So P90 is an SMG, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, okay.
But he was on about like it being a really long mag and like how they're able to fuck around with that. So in most games that I've played, the P90 tends to be a very quick burst fire weapon and then you're done. So
it's a top-loaded mag, so like the mag
it's kind of
goes in the top, and it's like the length of the whole gun, so it tends to be quite a long magazine for an SMG. Anyway, I can see it being similar to like the PP-19,
MP7, I would say
the PP-19, but with a faster fire rate.
Yeah.
Mm. I used to like the PP-19 as well. That's cool. What else did they confirm weapon-wise, guys? Did you listen to that bit? Hamish was particularly happy about it, I believe.
Yeah. It's like bolt action.
Exotic bolt action rifle coming. Thylander promised it. It's on the internet. You can't take it back.
Whisper of the worm.
That means nothing to us.
I know it doesn't, but people who play Destiny that listen to this will understand what I'm talking about. So shush.
Is there any of those people left?
Whoa! Yeah,
that listen to this podcast.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. So we did have a couple of questions the other week about worries with regards to mods.
Yes.
And them not weapon mods, I should say, and them not actually taking up inventory space, because once you've unlocked them, that is it. You have them for life. A couple of things that were actually confirmed. So once you actually unlock one mod, you can use it on multiple weapons across whatever. Because we were like worried about that the other week, weren't we? We were like weren't too sure how that was gonna.
Yeah, but Thylander was very careful to say that it will be used against used with multiple weapons, but not every weapon. Yeah. So you might need, for argument's sake, 4 different extended mags, or maybe even one for each weapon category. So sniper rifles, assault rifles, etc., which would be kind of cool, actually. Like if you have to take each archetype of weapon on a certain amount of missions or whatever it is to unlock it, that'd be pretty sweet.
This is another thing you said, that all the mods are going to take you on a journey.
It's time and space
to unlock, which is
that wasn't a Destiny joke.
Was it me and you were talking to Chuck about how he was worried how the mods being taken out of the pool was going to take away from the grind? And I think when we talked about it, I said they will figure out a way to bring a grind for that, and it seems like they're going to be doing Destiny 1-esque like bounties for these things. Like, as in, the way he explained it to me, that's how I understood it, as in, it's going to take you a bit of effort to unlock certain mods. Like, you're going to have to go, I want this mod, let's do all these things to get the said mod.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the show. Was it last week? I'm not 100%. We were on about the Ace of Spades with Destiny. Now, that seems to be like one of the most sought out after weapons in Destiny at the minute. Yeah, you have to do so many objectives to unlock that weapon. And what if that is the similar sort of thing
exactly,
that you have to do?
Sort of thing,
yeah, because I would say your journey to unlock them could be a case of going and doing missions, which would award you with the mods, or it's the amount of time that you're spending with certain weapons to try and unlock them.
But I'm very happy about that as well.
How do you feel about the negative and positive effects of the mods on your weapons now that that you're basically able to unlock them simultaneously? So you would assume that, like, the stats for one extended mag would apply from SMG to a completely different weapon, like a marksman rifle. Do you think that will matter if you need to adjust it or anything? Like, if there needs to be a difference between the weapons, or are you just happy for it all to be the same?
There might still be a difference between the weapons. You don't know, do you? Like I was saying before, the extended mag, Thylander already said it doesn't fit every weapon type. So the extended mag for the SMG
Division 1, certain scopes don't fit certain weapons and certain.
So the extended
grips.
mag for an SMG might give you plus 20 bullets. The extended mag for a rifle might give you plus 7 bullets. So it's already adjusted within its own stats. Do you know what I mean?
Archetype, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just because we don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah.
That's all I was worried about. And the other side of that is if you have the same stats between, I don't know, say you've got a 15 round mag between an SMG and a marksman rifle, like, I just want the balance to be adjustable that isn't going to affect one weapon to another, if that makes sense. If they start mucking around with the mods, I don't want the balance between the weapons to start being thrown off.
Yeah. See, the RPG grind was the reason that I originally said the extended mags, as the example I keep using, would be the ones that you would need to unlock for each weapon type. But balance is another reason for doing that, which you've just said yourself. So the more and more we talk about it, the more and more I think that will be the way that they go as well. So you have to unlock each mod type for each weapon type, or maybe it crosses over to one additional type, because obviously scopes could fit on multiple weapons at once anyway, so there wouldn't be much difference for those. But like the extended mags and maybe like the grips and stuff that give you extra stability here and less ADS speed here, or etc., would be something that you need to unlock per weapon type as well, because they're quite crucial, aren't they? So
yeah, it's going to be interesting, because as much as we know about the Division, we don't know like always intricate kind of details. You know what I mean? We don't know how mods are going to work even with gear yet. I don't think they've even announced anything with that.
No, but going back to your original question, I love the fact that mods have got positive and negative attributes to them. I think that's a fantastic idea.
I think that's one of the things I was going to say before we move on to the final part. Would you like something like that on exotics? Would you like a negative factor on exotics? So you can run this exotic weapon, but it's going to cause you like this negative effect.
Pre-built in before you mod it, you mean?
Yeah. It wouldn't, not even with regards to like the mods, but I'm on about if you run it and it'll do X amount of damage, but maybe, I don't know, it slows you down.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So pre-built into the weapon before you put any mods on that weapon for those.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I would actually. Because then again, not only are you looking for the best weapon that suits your build and your playstyle, but within the exotic pool, you're looking for the best weapon that actually suits what you want to do at that time, as well as, which again just opens up diversity even further.
Yeah, I like this idea of you can run it, but it's your choice that if you run it, you have a negative effect, and it's going to cost you this. Now, no, I'm not on about from a stats point of view. I'm just on about from a build point of view. It could wipe something completely off your build for all you know.
If I was a developer making gun games and I was making exotics, I would make all the exotics have static mods. I know that might sound like you're taking away from the build diversity, but for balancing's sake, I would make all the mods static for all the exotic weapons.
I agree with all of them, all of what you've said, and with regards to all the mods apart from one, which would be the sight. That would be the only one I would say you would be able to adjust, because I feel like everybody would have kind of like a different viewpoint. That, like, people like different sights. That would be the only one I would say you would want to change, and maybe you just null the stats on it.
And the other thing I'd be interested in is we know we're getting exotics, but we don't know if the weapon talents are glued to that exotic or whether there's going to be random rolls, because you could potentially have a shit exotic and a good exotic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if they're static rolls as well. But the fact that you're taking it with you the whole way, I imagine they're probably going to be static.
But that could just be a case of boosting up weapon damage.
Yeah.
Along the over the life cycle of the game, we don't know. Do you want static talents on a exotic rifle?
Again, for balancing purposes, probably a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not one for static talents, but on where exotics are concerned, I think I do agree with Rob on that one.
I mean,
I can hear the cogs turning now.
No, I was just trying to think, because like I'm thinking from like a weapon point of view, but also like gear. Do you want exotic gear pieces to be locked completely, like stat wise? So the minute you pick it up, maybe you can, I don't know, change one or two things slightly, but it just won't have an overall.
If they borrow again from the Destiny model, then
we're gonna have to put a buzzer or something in the show.
It's a drinking game, dude.
Oh God!
Every time someone says Destiny, you have to take a shot.
Destiny.
As long as you're not playing, we'll be fine.
Yeah, so like in Destiny, the exotic guns have static rolls, but the gear sets don't. That's random. They have good perks always, but not always. Like the exotic perk is always separate to the rolls on the gear. If that makes any sense.
How many talents would you like to see on exotic gear pieces? Do you want just a single? I'm saying like talents, but like I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be like an exotic that's going to do this. Do you want talents on it, or do you just want it to be like this powerful exotic weapon that does this one thing?
Hang on. Are you talking exotic weapons or are you talking exotic gear?
Weapon.
Right. Okay. You said both. That was all.
Well, gear would be one thing anyway, but with regards to weapons, you have talents potentially as well. Do you even want talents to back up exotic weapons? Because if you're only allowed to run one exotic rifle, you've still got a primary weapon in theory.
See,
depending on what slot.
Because what we're about to talk about with weapon talents in the next segment, I would like exotic weapons to have their exotic talent as an extra talent. It doesn't necessarily have to be ridiculously OP, but I think the way that they've done weapon talents for Division 2, assuming it comes out the way that Thylander has said it's going to come out,
this is subject to change.
Absolute stroke of genius.
You just know there's going to be an exotic sidearm though, right?
Yes.
With a holster talent.
But right? Okay, we might as well get down to it. Weapon talents, the Division 2, they're coming back, but it's all changed. Okay, so there's gonna be 3 different talents this time. There's gonna be
on high ends. They will.
Yes, sorry, on high ends, you're only getting 1 on purples.
Correct.
So high ends will give you 3 talents this time. First of all, will be active talent. That is the one that will proc augmented down the side of your rifle or marksman rifle, whatever you're running at the time. Second one will be a handling or characteristic talent, and the third one will be a holstered talent, which is active when it's holstered, but they're not too sure if it'll be active when it's unholstered yet.
They should just call it active, passive, and holstered.
Yeah. But what Thylander did say is that each high-end weapon will roll with all 3 of these, 1 from each one. So they're static and not static at the same time. So you will always have an active talent, you will always have a handling talent, you will always have a holstered talent. But within those 3 subcategories, there are even more talents than there were in the first game because they're opening the pool up a bit wider, aren't they?
Okay, now going very quickly back to what we were talking a second ago with regards to exotic talents, right? First of all, do you want exotic talents?
I stand by my first answer.
And 2, do you want exotic weapons to have holstered talents that add to the rest of your build? Because that is scary.
Holstered talents that only come from the same RNG pool as the rest of the holstered talents. I want the exotic talent to be tied to each exotic weapon. So for argument's sake, the MDR talent can only be on the MDR. And then you can have 1 from each 3 of the pre-mentioned subcategories. So you could get an MDR that's absolute trash. You could get an MDR that's got the active talent, the handling talent, and the holstered talent that you want.
But what if you nulled the exotic talents and then had an exotic gear piece that gave you the ability of adding your exotic talent in?
Say that again.
So you basically, if they nulled say the exotic talent was OP, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to use it. So the game prevents you from using any exotic talents, right? But you have an exotic gear piece that works in conjunction with the exotic weapons that allows you to use that and stack it, but you can't use any other exotic gear pieces.
I think you've just broken the game, Mike. It's not even out yet.
Not sure if I broke the game or just you.
You broke me, yeah.
No, I understand. I just...
It could happen.
I don't think they will do that because it'd be kind of stupid. But
he's not even drunk today. Cheers, Rob.
The holster talent, though, I would like to know what they've got in that pool because that's essentially Alpha Bridge. Like
that's what I said.
It's essentially Alpha Bridge with 3 of your weapons. So if there's any damage talents in there, then holy shit.
So I couldn't watch State of the Game live. I had to watch it back on a VOD, and I was walking around the park walking the dog, and he said about the holstered talents being active on the guns that you aren't using. And instantly said to myself, and I said it out loud because I then looked around to make sure nobody thought I was being crazy. It's like, Alpha Bridge. Like, constant Alpha Bridge.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say, what the fuck?
They were like, we love the 1.4 meta so much. Just going to implement it to the whole game.
It's back, baby.
It kind of makes sense if you think about it, because that's what everybody liked, wasn't it? They liked the Alpha Bridge, the fact that you could run all these fucking badass talents together. But
this
my only worry with that
your
is
sidearm super important as well, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. I love it. I think it's a great idea.
Mm.
So you would always have an active talent, you would always have a handling talent, and then the gun that you're using's holstered talent gets wiped off. But your sidearm and your second weapon holstered talents can be procced. So you've got 4 weapon talents. Alpha Bridge. It's just constant Alpha Bridge. Love it.
But like I said, I'd be interested to know what's in that pool. Like, whether it's just like extra ammo, dropping or something, or like damage. If there's damage talents in there, then holy shit.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure something was mentioned about bleed procking.
That would definitely be an inactive talent though.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So that's kind of, I can't remember 100% if that was an exotic or if they were on about active weapon talents or something like that, but it's kind of saying that bleed's going to be back, which makes sense. I mean, how do you feel about the overall changes to weapon talents? I mean, before, you could run three damage talents on one weapon, and if you had Alpha Bridge, you could run 6, depending which ones you've got, essentially. And we know they've gone back to the drawing board, so all the other talents from Division 1 have been scrapped. These are all brand new, catered for the Division 2. How do you feel about the direction of the old talents system and the new talent system?
Assuming there's no recalibration table, and we said earlier that the pools for each of these talents are a lot bigger than what we had in Division 1, finding a god roll weapon is going to be like finding a needle in a haystack.
Love it.
Yeah. Grind's back, baby.
They got rid of it with one hand with the mods, and they gave it back with the weapons.
Yeah. That's insane.
Okay, then off the back of that, because that's one of the things that everyone was looking for in Division 1. It was talents. It was all talents on the best weapon in the game at the time. So I'm going to ask you boys, do you want to see crafting back in the Division 2 the way it was in Division 1? And do you want a recalibration station?
No and no.
Yes and no. Mike?
What? Why? Why yes for crafting?
I just think crafting's quite a good idea, because like if you took this as a real life situation and you'd got all these weapons and then you can either sell them or you can break them down, why would you not then be able to craft something with the stuff that you're breaking down? Because if you're not, the thing with bringing crafting back and not recalibration is you're still clutching at straws to get the god roll that you want, even with crafting implemented.
It's still RNG.
Yes, like heavily.
Yeah.
So
and it's kind of at cost to you as well.
And
like,
if to craft, obviously you need the blueprint to craft with, which is more work,
grind.
More missions, more grind. Yeah.
I tell you what, I would like crafting back on the condition that it's fun to do the crafting, to gain the materials. If you can gain them as part of like your daily routine, just playing the game, that's absolutely fine. And I'm not on about
those sweet gains.
Yes, sweet gains.
Broccoli, rice, and chicken every day.
That's
lunch.
Noodles, dude.
Sorry, noodles.
Then I'm fine with that. I mean, and that gives you, you can go put all your materials or currency into the crafting table or whatever it is in Division 2, and craft the weapon of choice that you want. But I don't want it to be a case of like you can. I kind of want it to be like it's at cost to you. So it's going to cost you a lot to create to actually craft the weapons. But I don't want it to be a case of you're going around and spending 6 hours, running around the whole map looking for the materials to do it. I just want it to be fun.
So you don't want 1.1 crafting where you could literally sit there and craft 100 weapons and still have a ton of materials left over.
Yeah, that's one way, but I don't want it to be. I just don't want us to be able to craft 100 weapons and have all these materials, but then, yeah,
you want it somewhere between. Well, you want it maybe the next step up from where it is now, because at the moment crafting costs you like 5 weapon parts to make a weapon, doesn't it? But you could easily pick that up just by killing a load of trash mobs. Like you get 5 weapons dead easy, like because obviously the loot's raining at the moment. So you want it to be where you don't specifically have to do anything special to get the crafting materials during your 2 hours of gameplay or whatever, but you then can't go and make 100 weapons from your 2 hours of gameplay.
If I only play a couple of hours, I should be able to do a couple of missions, gain enough materials to be, at the end of the night, oh, I've got a couple of materials. I'll go craft a weapon, see what I get.
Yeah.
I want that to be the case rather than, for fuck's sake, I've got to go grind this, and this to get a couple of materials or get a chance of getting materials. I mean, we don't even know if the crafting is going to be. I don't know if crafting is going to be back. I'm not 100%, to be honest.
Do you know what your idea for crafting sounds like to me? Is the cipher key fragments. Like every day I play The Division, I end up with a cipher key just from doing the general stuff that I do, like walking around the dark zone, killing bosses and doing HVTs and whatever else.
Make it part of your dailies. Like,
exactly, yeah.
Unfortunately, the one thing Destiny I felt did really good is you had to go see an NPC and you had to go pick up your dailies. I feel like if your dailies are in the user interface, it's less of a thing as well. If you have something like that with regards to going to your missions and then at the end, it's got, you will get this. You get materials on completion. You're going to get materials on destroying whatever weapons or loot that you don't need as well. And if worst case, you can convert money to buy materials as well for crafting. But I just don't want it to be the case of, like Rob said, you can go and craft 100 weapons at once. I want it to be a grind to the point of it's that difficult thing. Whereas I know hardcore players will fucking grind the shit out of it if they know that they can craft a weapon.
That's the trouble, isn't it? Balancing it between casuals and hardcore.
Yeah, because you're going to get stuck with a player, like some of the player base that is going to have these OP weapons with the perfect talent rolls because they've spent freaking hours doing it, and then other people that don't.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? If somebody spent the hours to do it, they deserve the reward for doing it. That's the potentially.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway,
but you will still get that complaint.
Yeah. Well,
I'm pretty sure we had that in the Division 1 to start with.
Why didn't you want crafting back, Rob? Out of interest, please.
For that reason alone.
Right.
The fact that the hardcore people are going to use it and abuse it.
Why don't you guys want recalibration station back, not normalization?
It's just always felt a bit cheesy to me. I actually preferred like 1.1 to 1.2, I think it was, when you didn't have weapon recalibration. It wasn't a thing. You had an MP7 roll. If you wanted another one, you had to get another MP7. There was no other way around it.
I wouldn't say completely remove it. I would say restrict it. And they probably wouldn't do it straight away, but like maybe just change one of your weapon talents and you only get to do it once or twice. And no, like 3 times, maybe.
3 times a lady.
I'm glad Luke did it.
Because, like, you could get like really good holster talent, really good handling talent, and then have a really bad active talent, and then you just want to maybe try and re-roll that once, and then maybe you get a better one and you've got a god roll weapon. That's not going to affect RNG that much, because to get the first 2 good is going to be, well, I don't know.
But then we're also looking at it from the Division 1 point of view. I think we might potentially end up with a best in slot situation
with talents.
Yeah, but I'm hoping it's a case of it's going to be a lot more expanded than what we have now.
But yeah, that depends on what exotic you're using, what exotic gear you're using, what. I
mean, we could have active talents that like work on certain weapons that don't work on other weapons.
You may have to. What other? You may have to have certain brands on your gear to activate certain talents.
Yeah. That would be fucking cool.
I mean, we don't even know if. I mean, assuming exotics not having brands, which means you're going to lose out on certain talents because of that, because you're not going to have a 6-piece brand. There's loads of shit that's going to make build diversity a huge thing.
And I'll say it again. This definitely seems to be the direction they are taking it. It's just more diverse. And I think me and Rob were talking about it today. The one thing like Ubisoft in general tend to do is make a bigger, better game than the previous one. And I think we were talking about examples today, weren't we, Rob? It was like Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2 were completely different. Watch Dogs to Watch Dogs 2. The Crew? I'm joking now. I'm joking. But it definitely seems like that's they're doing that kind of Ubisoft thing where it's taking what they've already got and going bigger and going better.
As long as they don't keep doing the Assassin's Creed thing where it just keeps getting bigger, bigger, and bigger. So when you start the game, you're like, all this to do, you're like, oh.
It comes up with like a side mission list. When you first load in, here's 150 side missions to go.
Fuck that. Eject the disc. Go play something else.
Go play your favorite game. Anyway, that's this week's news and our discussion on it, I guess. Okay, over to questions. Rob,
yes,
we have one question today. Do you want to read it out?
What did you think of the holster talents and exotic info on the state of the game? Asking for a friend. From
who's it?
Pfefferlump.
Well, if you haven't heard the podcast that you've just listened to, I guess
that was a really good question. Thank you.
Do you know who that is?
What, Pfefferlump?
Yeah.
No.
Don't tell him.
I'll tell.
It's even better
I'll
if you
tell you
don't
after
tell him.
the show. Yeah, I'll tell you after the show. But thank you for the question. I hope you enjoyed our thoughts.
Is that? I think I know who it is.
I guess thank you to everyone who sent in a question this week. Roberts, where can the listeners find us?
You can find us over at SITREP Radio on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, as well as our personal accounts. Send any questions or feedback for the show to sitradiopod@gmail.com. Or you can find us on the Discord. The Discord.
You were saying again?
There's only one Discord, and it's ours.
On the Discord. The link's in the show notes. We want to hear your thoughts on the news and topics we cover in the show. So please leave a like and all that jazz.
Is that like the Bay?
What? The Discord?
Is it like the Bay?
What, Michael Bay?
No,
no, Michael.
The eBay.
Michael eBay. Luke?
Please leave a review of the show using the podcast app of your choice. We highly recommend Spotify at the moment. We genuinely enjoy reading all your reviews. The feedback is excellent. And at the end of the day, it does actually help other people to find our show. If you're brave enough to listen all the way to the very end of the show, you will hear all the juicy details about the other awesome shows that are available on the Mash Those Buttons network. Thank you.
We do live stream as often as we can, so if you're interested in dropping by and chatting with us whilst we play The Division and some other games, you can find us all over at twitch.tv/SITREP Radio. We have been SITREP Radio, not the Destiny cast that Rob keeps trying to make us into. Thank you very much, agents, for listening to us, and we will catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Destiny.
Son of a bitch.
Thank you for choosing a Mash Those Buttons podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to subscribe to one of our shows, you can find us on multiple podcast platforms across iOS and Android. Just search for the show on a podcatcher like Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts and hit subscribe. If you can't find us on your favorite podcast platform of choice, just go right to the mashthosebuttons.com website, grab the RSS feed, and put it into your podcatcher of choice. If you want to check out some other podcasts you may enjoy, you should check out mashthosebuttons.com/shows. For World of Warcraft fans, we have two podcasts, WoW Talk, which is our news and community podcast, and The Torn and the Goblin, which is our lore and story podcast. If you enjoy Overwatch, make sure to check out Watchpoint Radio to keep up with the latest on Overwatch and its community. If you enjoy fighting games, make sure you check out Double Tap for the latest in the FGC. If you're a fan of The Division or looking forward to The Division 2, make sure you check out SITREP Radio. If you want to keep up with the latest at Mash Those Buttons, you can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/mtbsite, facebook.com/mashthosebuttons, and youtube.com/mashthosebuttons. We'd also like to have you join our Discord community. So just go to discord.me/mashthosebuttons and join us for a chat. Once again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. You're listening to a Mash Those Buttons podcast. Visit mashthosebuttons.com for a full podcast schedule.
Cargo secured. Extraction complete.